It's me, Vera, here to remind you that this is an adult podcast. That means we're going to deal with tough topics. Take a break if you need it, and be kind to yourself, because we sure won't be.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stitch of Fate, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition podcast. As always, I am your storyteller, Mike Martin, joined by my wonderful players, Bub, Josh, and Mark. Hello again.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
This is, we have a hell of a scene to pick up on, so we'll get through the shilling as quickly as possible. Hey, if you want to support the show directly, you can do so. If you head over to patreon.com/podbynight, you can actually just directly financially support the show, and in turn, you get some cool benefits, including exclusive Discord stuff, behind the scenes after shows, and sometimes, occasionally, maybe a little something mailed off to wherever you live from the Coterie themselves. Otherwise, if you can't directly support us, just letting your friends know, or hitting the like button wherever you're listening to this, or rating it on whatever podcast app you're listening to, all that stuff goes a long, long way toward keeping the show going and reaching new ears every day, which is crazy and great, and we thank you for that. I think that's it. I think that's all we've got for the shilling, so we can just dive right back into the game and see what everybody's going on. So let's set the scene, rein it in, and see what the Coterie is up to. We hear the bustling of a daytime New York street, honking horns, chattering people, and a bright sunlit sky, a scene our eyes don't get to observe very often. As the camera pans down from the sky, we catch the sign of the Succubus Club. The lights are off, and again, a very rare sight of a closed down Succubus Club. We continue to pull back until we see Larson, just pushing himself off of a light pole, waiting for the approach of Sean, who had just turned the city block and was about to head back to the club before he too got eyes on Larson. Would Sean from this moment approach? Or would he do something else?
Sean is going to take a look around and see if he's being observed by anyone else.
You may make me a wits awareness. However, the difficulty is rather high, as the streets during the day are much, much more packed with people than they are at night.
One.
With one success, it does not seem like it. It seems as though he's alone.
Okay. Well, in that case, Sean is going to catch Larson's eye and start walking in a direction that is tangential to where the club is. He's going to try and find a nice park bench or something.
Sure. It's a few blocks away, but there's a small area that's only about half of the block itself that has a small wooded area with a couple of benches that people tend to sit on, but a lot more homeless people tend to sleep on. And it's littered with trash. Plastic bags whistling in the wind, and empty beer bottles and cups scattered across what was mostly once green grass, now dead from pollution. And you were able to pull up a bench after you wait a little bit before somebody steps off and walks away. You plop down. As you sit down comfortably, within moments, Larson sits next to you.
They made me kill your kid.
Yeah. Unfortunate. You really had to do that to the club, too?
I heard it got burnt down.
I like that place, man.
It was a shithole apart from every Thursday night.
Yeah, thanks to me. I thought we had a good talk.
Yeah, me too.
So what happened?
What do you think happened? Thin Bloods turn up. The fucking sheriff comes to our door, gives us a mission, and then I get sent to kill my own.
Yeah, welcome to the Camarilla. It fucking sucks.
Too right. The fuck you gonna do about it, though?
So you weren't listening to a word I said.
I heard the gist. I want to know what the fuck you're gonna do about it. Because I can't stand this shit anymore.
I take it the fuck down.
What do you need me for then?
You could help.
Yeah. Okay then.
You're a smooth talker, Sean. Always have been. What I like about you. But how can I trust you now? I offered you an olive branch and you took 3 lives.
I really didn't want to kill him. I tried like 5 different times. So I asked them to do something else about it. They don't fucking want to do anything else about it. If you want to trust me, then trust that I don't want to kill anyone else. Unless they're trying to kill me. Those Thin Bloods didn't do anything to me. So trust that I see myself in them.
But you still did it. At the end of the day, you still took the actions that ended their lives. At the end of the day, you made a decision on what side to stand on.
No, that decision was made the moment that you handed me over to the Camarilla.
I handed you over to the Camarilla so you didn't die for being what you were.
So I could make that decision for other people. Look, I want to help you. I really do.
And you mean that. And he looks at you dead in the eye.
Make your ask, or I'm gonna do my own thing about the Camarilla.
What do you want, Sean?
I want to get high and play video games all day. I can't do that because if I do, then eventually someone will come knocking on my door and put their fist through my head. Because that's what I had to do to them. So what I want to do is what I've always done. I've got no huge ambition to like be a fucking king of a city. I just want to live a decent life. Have a good time.
Then why don't you? Look where you are right now. You're sitting down on this bench and he kind of pats his hand on it. He pushes down. It kind of creaks under the pressure. Able to breathe normal air while the sun shines down on your very skin and you don't dust, catch flame, or die. He points out to the street. Go take a car, any car. Leave the city. Go live a life of video games and getting stoned. You can do that. They ain't gonna chase you. They've already shown you that you're worth less than a fucking rat. You can have that.
Always have someone else's sword hanging over my head, so...
So what? You've just accepted that, and so why go anywhere?
Okay, let me tell you. My real true ambition is to not die. Is that what you want to hear? What do you want?
The freedom to be who we are without having to worry about being killed for it all the damn time.
Then do that.
I am. The Camarilla cannot provide that. They have fed me the lies over and over again. Gave me a position on the Council for Power, which ended up just being another scapegoat seat. Somebody to point to and blame the problems on because I am what I am, as if I had a damn choice. So fuck that. Embrace what we are. All these governmental rules, right? Always preaching about who we're supposed to be. how we're supposed to adhere to law, when in reality, we are a parasite. Always have been. Always will be.
I was listening. You know what I want to be? I want to be a harbinger of the end times.
He smirks at that. You can be. The worm isn't this nuclear force that's going to show up and wreak havoc. That's what all these mystic believers think, right? The Gehenna, this end time is going to be this end of nights, and we're all going to dissipate one by one, whether it's because of whatever fantasy old ones they think are going to come stomping back or whatever bizarre belief they have. But in reality, Gehenna is a slow death of our kind. As they whittle away their own power and breed beyond their own comprehension, their own blood thins. And he kind of gestures to you and gestures to himself. They create their own end times. But you know why we're the end times? Not because we're weaker than them. Because we're the next step. We can walk in the sun. We can steal things, as they would like to call it. Steal their abilities, their disciplines. We can do things they don't fucking understand. And just like when they were human, when you don't understand something, you're bad shit scared of it. And they're scared of us. Tale as old as damn time, even before we were what we were. Humans scared of other things because they don't understand them, and so they try to control them. I'm not fucking buying that shit anymore. Sure, we're a sign of the end times, but simply because we're the next step in there. You could call it evolution. Just their next step in existence. That's what I seek, Sean. Allow us to stand on the stage of power where we deserve to be. And serve the very thing that allows us to exist as we are. Servants of the worm, whether you want to be or not. Or you can listen to the Camarill's whispers and lies some more. Maybe it'll take you a few decades like it did for me to understand it, but you'll come to the same conclusion eventually. Be a cog in their machine.
I think we already have.
So what do you want to do?
You know who the most powerful person in the city is right now? It's Kadir.
Like me.
You know who I really don't like? I know when he's going to be at our club, and I know when. So, if you want to set a trap for him, wouldn't be against it.
And what's to say you don't go running back to the others and start setting a trap for us to arrive?
I live with them. You know what happened last night?
He shakes his head.
I mouthed off and they treated me like a child.
Get used to it. That's how they are.
So, if you want to catch Kadir, I can give you a schedule. Or you can come up with an idea, but I'm hungry. So I've got places to be.
Would you say meeting back here in a couple days? Same time. An early morning coffee.
I don't think I've had coffee in a while. Sure.
You can talk to me about that schedule, but I'm not foolish enough to just buy you at your word any longer. But I do enjoy spending time with you. I always have. Even if it was just quietly watching and being proud of you while you grew.
I'm happy to call you family.
He reaches over and just kind of pats your shoulder, and he stands up before he turns around. And I'm gonna make a roll real quick. God, he as he looks around, he just gives you kind of like a really kind of quick wink with his hands in his pocket, and he melds into the crowd and disappears. Sean, the camera turns back to Sean, seeing him sit on the bench. Still. Did you give do you look visibly confused?
Yeah, because Sean doesn't know what the wink was about.
After a few moments of like thinking about that, what do we see Sean do? Would he step up and the rest of the day go by before the night arrives?
Yeah, Sean's gonna go back about his mission. He's gonna find he's gonna see if he can find Thin Bloods.
Well, we'll have rolls for that separately, as it's just been a single night so far. As you go through that, can we get now, as the day sets, a rouse check for everybody as we arise for the next evening? Sean is hungrier. Would you like to feed Sean, or are you good right now?
Sean's good for the moment.
Okay.
1.
What's everybody's hungers at, actually? Let's just get a full hunger round. Duke is at 3. Sean is at 3. Vera is at 1. Okay, and Max, you get a little hungrier. So what's that put your hunger at?
2.
Okay, you're not bad. So we've got 2 3s, a 1, and a 2. So as Sean makes his way around the back of the club, as the sun is set maybe 30 or 45 minutes ago, and the door swings open, you get past the Russian security who recognize and know you at this point. You head downstairs just as Vera would be probably coming down to the blood room to check on the prince, and the coterie mostly comes together. And you see Sean is, Josh rather, correct me if I am wrong for rules. If you stay up during the day as a thin blood, are you tired at night?
I don't think there's any rules about it, but as far as I'm aware, like, yeah, because you stayed up all day and then you stay up all night.
Yeah, because I know you
probably
can push through. You can definitely push through as a full kindred. If you stay out of sunlight, you can push through the day, but it costs like willpower and it like tires you out and stuff. But all right, cool. We'll say as you come down, and Sean is noticeably a little bit more groggy, a little bit more slow. Again, something that Vera's probably seen in the past, as he does spend days awake from time to time. But he'd be the first one there. And Vera would be the first one down, unless Duke and Max would be there as well. But the coterie would eventually come together is what I'm getting at. And I know Max wants to speak with him at least.
Yeah, Max, I think, might even try to intercept him on the way in.
Sure. We can definitely have that. As you make your way toward the blood room where Vera's waiting, Max would you would catch him kind of walking by, and you'd be able to grab his attention or grab hold of him before he does.
Hey, kid, can I have a little word in your shell-like ear?
I don't have pointy ones, so...
Yeah, I noticed. Come here. I need to have a word.
Yeah, sure.
Where do you take him? Into your closet area?
Max actually brings him into the big storage closet.
Now taken up by quite a large cat tree.
He gestures to a crate.
Sit down, kid.
Yeah, Sean sits down and then starts going towards Max Jr.
As you see Sean sit down, the crate actually, as you sit down, lifts to its left a little bit. There's actually a large crack up the side of the left, so your weight is just going to make it lean just a bit. So you're kind of always at an angle as Max Jr. crawls out of the tree nearby and comes up and starts smelling your fingers.
Now, I know we already had a little bit of a chat about what you said yesterday to the sheriff, but I feel like I really need to drive the point home, you know? Look, Sean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I like you. You're a jackass and a joker, and you don't take things too serious, and I like that. It's a breath of fresh air, but some things you can't joke about, especially with certain people. And maybe you heard him say strike two. I know you're British or whatever, so maybe you know more about cricket than baseball, but when you get to strike three, you're done. And in this case, done means dead without dying. It means you're likely gonna be really uncomfortable for a very long time before the end comes, you know?
Yeah, I kind of got that.
Yeah.
He
But
could
I
have
don't
just
think
looked
you-
at me funny. Like, I get that he's scary.
Yeah, you get it, but I don't think you're getting it. I don't think if you understand what I'm talking about here,
You would have saved me, right?
there wouldn't have been much I could do.
Well, I promise I won't make that joke again.
Yeah, it's probably wise to avoid any attempts at humor, you know? Especially when it's the kind that's gonna get you ripped in half, and then into quarters, and then into eighths. And, well, you know how numbers work, right?
Yeah, sort of. Where did everyone's sense of humor go? Like, is that what people lose when they get bitten?
And, no, I sure don't like to think so, but look at it this way, kid. It wouldn't just be you. You made Vera look bad, and I don't think she likes that very much. In fact, I know she don't. So, word to the fucking wise, okay?
I hadn't considered that bit. I don't want to make Vera look bad.
Yeah, you really don't.
Kadir, on the other hand, if I could, I would put him in clown makeup.
Yeah, well, hey, nobody gets to tell you how you feel. But watch the fucking mouth.
All right.
Good talk. All right, let's go.
Hey, maybe one day I can give you a talking to. You gonna do
Yeah.
anything stupid sometime?
All the fucking time, kid. I speak from experience, and that's why I'm trying to help you out.
Yo, you gonna take out Gustav? Is that... I heard that's not legal.
Well, Gustav and me, that's a special case. And you're right. Some things it's worth sticking your neck out for. But just being a random jackass ain't one of them. Play your cards smart, okay?
Got ya.
Who leaves the room first?
Max actually just sort of like gestures. Just like
After you.
Sean is gonna be disappointed that Max Jr. has not arrived, and then leaves.
Yeah, don't look so sad. He could probably take your arm off.
Yeah, he looks swole.
Yeah, and I don't think it's improved his disposition much. He's a bit of a grouch with other people, you know?
As long as he likes you, that's all I care about.
As you're about to leave, you see Max Jr. crawl up from the tree onto Max's shoulders and settle in comfortably. The two of you make your way out, but since the two of you are speaking, Duke and Vera have come together in the blood room quietly together as the prince lies on the nearby bench. Max and you can actually hear in the distance a distant voice of Max and Sean. You know they're around having a talk or just chatting somewhere. But it does leave Duke and Vera alone.
Something's the matter, Vera. Something weighs on you.
How could you tell?
You carry it like a badge of honor at times. Makes you strong.
Why do I feel like the jackass in all of this, Duke? I'm just waiting for somebody to say joke's on you, you know?
It's hard to say, really, why anyone would want to make you look this way. Or feel a certain way.
Duke, you are gathering friends in high places rather quickly.
I'm aiming pieces. Vera, there's a difference.
Okay, fine. What are you aiming for?
Knowledge. It helps. I can make moves, meet new people, discover new puzzles. The more I know, the easier it will be to do those. To understand them.
So, is this like a process versus product kind of conversation?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, I'm afraid.
So what, you just want to know more?
When you know everything on the board, you never stumble into any traps. And if the traps are setting themselves without your knowledge, you at least have a minor inclination of understanding about who's setting them. And once you know the person, well, even if they've been alive for hundreds or thousands of years, they only have the capacity to understand the depth of a trap to a certain degree. I don't like to walk into traps. I don't like to leave myself available and open to them.
It seems like an opportune time to gain such status and benefit, if Kadir is right.
Such is the way. This is just how kindred operate, is it not?
I guess I did not take you for I didn't know you strived for such things, Duke.
Vera, I'm not sure if I'm striving for anything short of anything more than long-term survival. There are some odd and skewed relationships inside of our world. And by our world, I mean the existing lines that run parallel, like the chantry and the camarilla. I've never understood why they're at odds. I think it's a matter of fears. But if you can guide those fears, you remove the power from such.
Then I have a question for you, Duke. With all this information, and all this planning and plotting and knowing, you could have friends in all the right places. So what are you doing here?
I think someone to the outside might see myself as biding time, but I find it rather enjoyable here at times. Even in my living life, I found my situation always terse. I was averse to natural relationships. I lacked friends. I was constantly under scrutiny for every move and action that I did. And those around me that were weak couldn't understand my line of thinking. They weren't forged in the same fire, and in order to garner their understanding, I had to go through certain levels of behavioral modification with them. In this world, however, I fit in more, but I still find that there are things that go against the grain of Duke Bremond. You're your own puzzle, Vera. It's interesting watching you come to terms with the things that you were in your past and the things that are still yet to come in your future, and I find myself an admiring onlooker.
Oof. I appreciate that. I do love to be worshipped, you know.
That's a way of saying it, yes. You probably see like Duke. smile.
That being said, it has been quiet for so long. 10 years we've just been. Sean's been about, and Max in the basement, trying to get past everything that Gustav has done. And in all that time, not one Ryla. And then Larson comes to my doorstep.
Interesting creature.
Sean was just fine. Yes, well, he was just fine before Larson showed up.
No, I mean you. You're an interesting creature. You are very much a Toreador in many ways.
No reason denying what you are.
But you would relate so well with what you've just said to the Bruja clan. The quiet is a shakeable foundation with them.
Yes, well, I've spent my fair share of time partying with a Bruja. Don't worry. Vera's got a past, Duke. Gasp.
Vera, I have some mild concerns. We speak very candidly in front of the prince, and she no doubt files this information away for use at a later point, of which she will dole out accolades and reward to those that serve her well.
One can only hope.
What is she going to do about Sean?
I don't know. What is anyone going to do about Sean? He's rather confusing. Puzzle in his own right.
Sean walked out of here yesterday with a smirk, Vera.
Who am I to stop him? Look, Duke, when I was young and stupid, I did a lot of things. I wasn't always with the Camarilla. As I've made very clear, I am choosing to be here. Little change of pace, I guess.
When I see to the chantry, I'm going to see how I might be able to create a pervasive ward or block against thin blood alchemy.
Ugh. Sean is not going to like that. You know he's up there cooking away in his little thin blood laboratory.
He's at an impasse, Vera. I'm afraid that we, despite our best efforts, will find Sean deciding whether or not he fits in with the Coterie, or if he is to find a family away from ours. I'm surprised that it's taken you this long to alert him to your past doings.
I have not entirely alerted him, if we're being candid. He can't be that stupid.
Sean is quite a bit more alert than I think we're giving him credit for. But he's still very much a child in many ways.
He's just rebellious, and I get it. I didn't like the Camarilla either. Ugh. I said horrible things and did stupid things, and I did it. I've been there. I just don't have the energy for it anymore. Jaded to the whole game of rebellion. It never got me fucking anywhere.
But you learned that. How many people did you have to cross in that time?
You mean how many people crossed Vera? Well, that's a story for another day, Duke.
You are full blood, though. Sean is not. He doesn't have access to the litany of disciplined abilities that we might.
No, but he has access to a litany of other things that we don't.
True. True. I wish to understand a bit more of this thin blood alchemy as I've read. There's no limitations, Vera. Have you done much studying on this?
On alchemy? Other than the mixture of cigar smoke to vodka intake, I think not.
The Tremere have an understanding of their boundaries. They know that it takes a lot in order to make, but what I found with the Tremere is that they oftentimes do not work together unless there is a childer situation and they're forced to do as such. But the thin blood, much like I'm assuming that the gangrel have been in the Midwest, They've been outcast, and they've been felt as lackluster or less than that, and they are banding together. Thin blood alchemy seems to lack a lot of the more abhorrent and visual boundaries.
Well, Sean seemed to handle himself fine around the alchemy. At least he did so on that other thin blood. That being said, I make up for old mistakes, maybe.
I think Sean is going to be key to us waking up our prince.
I'm not entirely sure I disagree with you on that matter, which is why I want to keep her safe. Unlike everyone else, I want to prove a point. Would you like to know what it is, Duke? And Vera turns and looks right at the prince. You see, I'm being very candid and open with these conversations right in front of her because when she wakes, I want her to know. To have to settle with that. That a bunch of degenerates, outcasts, as you put it, Duke.
Black sheep, yes.
Yes. Well, when all is said and done, we shall see.
Vera, you have a way with people, and it's something that I cannot deny.
Okay.
I need you to find someone with more knowledge inside of not the chantry per se, but the Camarilla that can help me with something. And I'm afraid that no one will be able to do this but you.
What do you need?
We'll need to discover the prince's feeding habits if we wish to wake her, lest we risk a rampage through our home and further. You might need to seek that deplorable man, Arturo.
Oh, don't worry. I've already set a trap for Arturo. I gave John a list just this evening of a few errands I need him to run. He should be back maybe this evening, in fact, with a very special invitation for Arturo.
If we meet the necessities of the prince and her feeding habits, that is, of course, our bane. We are only allowed to feed on very specific individuals.
That is a very private topic to
Very
be
much
bringing
so.
up to the harpy.
Even if it's not the harpy, then we might need to ask Kadir. And I think he might know, or at least have an idea.
I'm sure he does. He didn't seem very pleased with me tonight. Not that that's ever changed anything.
I still stand by my thoughts, Vera. I think that he is, at the very least, on a single side, emotionally involved.
What do you mean emotionally involved?
I think he's infatuated with the prince. The way that he touches her jaw, carefully so, he brushes her hair from her face. He mumbles under breath in a way that we cannot hear or see.
Are you insinuating that the prince and Kadir are bonded in some way?
Potentially, that might be there. But I am not aloof to the idea that kindred can still fall in love.
Why does this word keep coming up in polite conversation? Well, that is a theory I had not considered, Duke.
He's taking a lot of extra care. Sometimes you just have to take a step back and glance at the larger picture.
Well, it is his job, but yes, your conspiracy theory may...
Prove to not be such a conspiracy.
Yes. Well, as enlightening as this conversation has been, I'm feeling a bit parched.
Oh hi, it's me, Vera. While you're taking a break, take a moment to visit dieharddice.com. Die Hard Dice is a sponsor of this little podcast. They make what we do possible. During checkout, make sure to use the code STITCH-APR, and you'll get 10% off your entire purchase. And we get a little cut for our own resources. Sounds like we only roll with the best.
As you say, parched, in strides Sean,
Ugh.
followed by Max.
Hi. How was everyone?
Good, Vera, good. How was your day? Sleep well?
No. There's a lot going on.
I guess, this is the part where I ask what's the rumpus.
This would be that part. We need to prioritize moving our dear prince. We have to house her in something.
Essentially, what I'm looking for is, what do you plan? Like, what are the exact plans? Where do you want to wall her?
And Vera says, and between all of us, I have a plan. I say we tell Kadir we brick her in one place and we brick her in another.
I thought so, exactly.
Yeah, that's a smart play, probably.
I say that we brick her in an opposite wall, a different nook. Same plan, keep her in the basement. We have some options of barring that area off in case she comes out a little angrier than planned. And we can always have fresh, well, humans about.
Fair enough.
I'm going to start looking into some other bits of security. The Russians are wonderful, but they will not stop a raging prince, I doubt.
Yeah. Vera, you got access to blueprints for this place?
Maybe in the attic there are some old things left over that didn't burn in the first fire.
Yeah, well, this might be more Duke's department, but we might want to look into making sure we don't place her too close to
A radiator?
tunnel or sewer.
Oh.
Or a radiator, Sean. Yeah, thanks. I see that our little chat has had no effect whatsoever.
You're such an idiot.
I thought
Thank
it
you.
was funny.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the prince also thinks so.
I guess what I'm saying is we'll do none of the sort. I think that's actually a very smart idea. We should probably look and find the most secure place to actually put her, and then tell everyone else she is somewhere else.
Max, are you capable of removing the brick from the wall without damaging the mortar too much?
Yeah, it's gonna take a little finesse, but I could probably use a crowbar or whatnot. If I do it with my hands, it's likely to get a bit messy.
We're going to need some precision and care. This is my area of expertise at disguising a scene to look one way when it should be another. I can put in an order for new brick, but if we are clever, and we are, we will move old brick to the location, re-wall her in, and then we'll place new brick in areas so as to make them believe that she is where she is not.
Yeah, I like that.
To assure little control of the situation.
Oh, question: we're not speaking freely in front of the prince's body currently, are we?
I mean, Vera
Yeah.
is, unless we wanted to have taken it out in the hallway.
I think we are. Yeah, I think that's,
Yeah,
that's
we
what's
are.
happening.
Yeah,
Vera's
that's-
being very open with the prince about the fact that, like, you want to stay safe? I'll keep you safe.
Yeah, and so that was like when Max said, "Well, I'm sure the prince feels the same way."
Yeah.
He very pointedly hooked a thumb towards the body.
Yes, our dear prince. Well, cards are on the table now. If she comes out of whatever this is, which we are actively going to find out what is wrong, then if she wants to be mad at us for how we handled it, it's easier to ask forgiveness.
Here's a question. Have we thought of a way of maybe rigging up some kind of blood feeding tube so that when she snaps out of it, she's not gonna, go nuts? Like, she'll be fed, right?
I got some going spare.
It's not going to be possible until we discover what the prince's feeding habits might be. She might be of the situation where she can only feed on, even in rarer occasions, dead blood.
What's so rare about that?
Max says as he pulls a juice box out of his pocket, starts, bites the scab off the end and begins sucking. I assume this will count as him feeding for the day. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. As you start slurping down one of your blood bags.
Well,
Perhaps it's something to deal with, again, your, as you said, Carpathian bloodline. I'm not entirely sure, but most kindred are averse to consuming dead blood.
Yeah, I should be clear. That Carpathian shit is just something Gustav told me. It might be a lie.
Well, we consider it to others just as a basic allergy at this point, sometimes lethally so. But since it's the four of us, including the prince, I have a very specific feeding regimen. I can only operate for those that owe me, and I am prepared to extort whatever means that I might. Additionally, I can only feed on men. Only men.
Gotcha. Well, if it's that specific, then yeah, any old blood ain't gonna do. How do we figure out
We
what
need to
she
find
fed
those
on?
that she's closest to that would know and delivered her such food. The older the blood, the rarer it becomes.
I imagine that Kadir probably knows, and if nothing else, if I can finagle my way into that conversation, I might be able to poke the harpy for it.
I think Arturo might know, but I'm afraid that if we begin poking about the feeding habits of the prince while the prince is currently gone, it's going to raise some suspicions.
I think if Kadir knows, he's our best bet.
So I have a thought, and it's a tricky one, yes. Kadir said that rumors are beginning to spread that the prince is missing. Do you know how you stop a rumor? With another rumor.
It's not the way I was going with it. I was going to say by removing the head, but this
Well,
works
yes,
as well.
you can.
Yeah, I was gonna say kill the gossiper. But,
Yes, to kill the gossip, you just feed new gossip. Gossip is a never-ending thing. It doesn't stop and ever. It just festers.
Okay, so what rumor is gonna counter whatever's flying around right now?
Well, long ago, Max will remember this, something called propaganda, where you were fed false information to believe something.
Yeah.
Who's to
Well-
say that we don't start seeding false information? That the prince has been seen.
She's been seen somewhere she's not supposed to be.
No,
Like-
that is not what I said, Sean. But we can talk about it.
It's juicy, though.
It is. And good gossip is always juicy. You know, Sean, there are some days that you grind on me like a metal spike down a chalkboard. And then there are other days I might just like you, Sean.
I live for those days.
And as he says that, we see Sean's face just light up with the widest smile.
I've got to figure out how to seed such a rumor. But do you know the best gossip monger? He has a very special present coming. An invitation to this club. To my time. Sean, would you be a dear...
You want me to dress up as the prince and appear in his presence, and then...
I sure hope not. No, please don't do that. I have just a package for you to deliver to him.
Oh, sweet.
He'll love that you're the one delivering it.
Oh, we're...
I've no doubt.
As you finish saying that, you can actually hear a back door kind of open, and slow, shuffling, old man footsteps are slowly echoing down the concrete hall until just around the corner, an old gentleman by the name of John, with a wrinkled face and mostly bald head, tears hunched. He looks up at Vera with a... Well, what does he have, Vera? as he wordlessly presents what you went to send him
He has
out to
a
get.
small cedar box, very beautifully stained with like a wrap around it and a label on the top in like gold foil stamped into this beautiful wood burn. And it has
He leans forward, and as he offers it forward, he simply says, "Miss Volkov."
Thank you, John. The rest of the evening. Take it off, please. She's
Too kind. As he turns and he shuffles away
so
very
old.
slowly.
Yeah.
And Max actually sort of brightens up when John comes. Is like,
Oh, hey, John, how you doing, kid?
He looks over to Max, and there's what was maybe a smile, but the wrinkles are too much, and he waves and is like, "Good to see you, Sir Maxwell."
You take care, Junior.
He simply nods, and he slowly turns and as he shuffles away very slowly.
There are only certain kinds of invitations to this club, one of which is this. And she opens the lid to a box of cigars, hand-rolled, beautiful, oily, dark, and they have a wrap around them. On each wrap is a gold-foiled Arturo. It just says Arturo, 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 his name over and over and over again. And laying on top is a key.
This certainly would have cost. I'm going to cut him for a moment.
pretty
This certainly
penny.
would cost some money. Yeah, we will use a resource dot for this.
I could totally do that.
Where would you like to pull that from? Your personal resource dots, which refreshes every 30 in-game days.
Yeah,
or
I have
do you have any temporary?
three
left?
resource dots as we speak.
Oh, for your personal
Resources.
Okay, so take one of those away and it'll return at the beginning of the next 30 days,
Okay.
basically. So temporary removal, you're down to 2 for the rest of the month.
All right, cool.
So you would have spent a pretty penny on this sucker. This is like $1,000.
And on top is a key, a gold key, which says the only VIP option in Vera's club is a cigar box. He has a key and cigars, and if he wants to show up, he can anytime he wants to.
Okay.
Balls in Arturo's court. Let's see if he's ballsy enough to show his face here.
Max is Max a cigar guy? Is this something he would have ever partaken in, or is he not really a big cigar guy?
Yeah, I'd say, World War II grunt.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I just can see you with like the cigar sticking out. So
Yeah, the
what is-
stogie.
As this is like presented in front of you, is Max like taken aback? Like, these are incredible. Are they Cubans? Like, are these Cuban cigars?
Yeah, I imagine. Or I mean, who have we been dealing with?
The
The
Russians.
Russians.
I mean,
So
Russian cigars.
yeah, I don't know. They would be. I would think actually.
Irish. Yep, the Irish. You might have been able to.
Yeah, the Irish. Vera.
Ooh, yeah, you could have fed money to the Irish and get some
to get
Irish
some
cigars.
Irish cigars. Yeah, they would have been just hand rolled, really beautiful. I imagine if they're dark too, they may have a. They may.
This
yeah.
matters actually. Who did you pay money? Like, who did
who
this
did I
money
give-
go to? Who did you invest like $1,000 in for this handcrafted thing, just to like give them some business?
That's a. You know what? That's
this
a
is
good
im-
question. The best cigars in town would probably come from whoever could get the import. Who runs the docks?
The Russians, for the most part, they're the biggest names around in terms of like in this world
For the-
currently.
yeah.
The Irish are trying to make an up and coming swing. They have a piece so it really depends. Like the docks are mostly run by the Russians, but people are still going to try and get their boats in every so often.
Well, we have
so you
lost
could-
the Italians in terms of business, right?
Yes, you've lost the
and
Italians.
we're bringing in new art, so maybe new clientele. So
Put it this way. If you want to use 1 dot of resources, you can get the imports through the Russians. If you want to use 2 dots of resources, because it's harder for the Irish to get it in, so they want a little bit more cut to ensure that it's worth their trouble, you could get it from the Irish, but you build some rapport with the Irish in the meanwhile.
will they run? Okay, only if they run drugs. That's the deal. They have to start buying from us.
Yeah, I mean, we can have that
I
conversation.
would say that would be kind of
but
the trade-off. I think
that
Vera
would be a good way
yeah.
to open up conversation, but
done.
to be buying something a little less
worth it.
black markety out the
Worth
top.
it.
So this will allow you an in to start speaking about drug business dealings with the Irish, see if it's worth your while and whatnot. In the meanwhile, you bought yourself some goodwill with them, but you use 2 resource dots instead. This is like Cuban imports, hand rolled, plus all the handmade like tags and stuff.
Right.
So this costed you a very pretty penny, but it came through the Irish smuggling.
Yeah, so when that box was opened, there was a long, low whistle from Max, and he's like,
Holy shit. You believe in making a good impression.
Always. You can't let them one-up you. At least not in your own fucking club. Oy, how embarrassing. Plus, I need to be in his good graces. He seems to, for whatever reason, either enjoy my company or at least enjoy toxic company. And he loves making fun of Sean. You seem...
You say that as you snap the box shut and hand the box over to Sean for him to deliver.
Mind the mouth, kid. Just mind the fucking mouth.
So fucking tempting, though. He's a massive bellend.
Listen, Arturo is a man who needs his ego stroked. If things get dicey and you're feeling hot at the collar, do us all a favor and just revert conversation back to how much I can't wait to see him at the club.
Good to know. Good to know. Sean stacks the cigars under his arm and then goes out.
You can hear them jostle just for a moment as he does
rattles.
so.
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah, you can hear him all rattle around inside, and he steps off with like I said, he jaunts off in the opposite direction, looking to head out, leaving again to three of you instead without Sean there. Is there any more conversation you all would like to have? Because then I have a follow-up question about the body that I need to have answered.
No.
Okay, everybody good?
Yeah,
All right,
I
cool.
think,
So,
now's the time.
There's a few options you can do with the body here. You can do it by hand, slowly get the brick yourself, slowly tear it down. It'll take a lot more time if you do it on your own. You could, of course, hire a construction company to come down and do an expansion on it or re-wall up or do whatever it is that you want to do it that way. Or you could have your black market people come in and maybe do that on the down low to do it by their end. But basically, if you can have other people come in and like restructure this stuff and then you would, of course, you would have to do the final brick up because the body would be hidden away while they do it. But if you wanted to, it basically buys you time. If you do it by hiring somebody, you gain time. Or if you do it yourself, less people know that there was construction happening here, but it's going to take you like a week or so. So I just want to know.
I think that maybe we get contractors to do the fake one, right? But maybe we bury it a little deeper so that it's not quite so obvious. Maybe we go the black market route, have them set up the fake one. We do the real one ourselves. So it looks like we were trying, at least a little bit, to hide the construction of the fake one.
Cool. So Sean, where would Sean go to present this to Arturo? Like Sean jaunted off without really asking where to go. So where would Sean think to go?
Sean's gonna go to the tower.
Ivory Tower. All right, I like that. Off to the Ivory Tower. What about Duke and Vera? And we'll worry about Max in a moment here. What would Duke want to be doing for the evening?
Duke would probably be hunting for information regarding thin blood alchemy and likely going back to see what he can discover about wards.
And you gave the symbol to obviously Sturgis at the chantry. Did you give it to anybody else? Did you give it to the cop? I can't remember. No?
No.
Okay, that's not something you would have done with the cop. And what as far as Luther
has been looking over some information.
Your files. To say, did you ever dedicate any time to that yet so far or not yet?
No, I just said interesting and I pushed it to the side.
Yeah,
but
you kind of slid it off.
I think two things, like Duke's gotta solve that.
Sure.
Which begs the question, what does Luther actually know? What is he guessing? What does he know? Because he knows that Duke hasn't aged a day.
Yep.
Additionally, Duke needs to feed.
Mm-hmm.
Still haven't done that.
Yeah, you're at 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're getting a little antsy. On the food. So, I'm sorry, then where would Duke go initially? You would initially, for the beginning of the night, go look to feed, or would you go looking and doing research, or would you go to the chantry and...
Probably double dip if he can. Go to the chantry, looking for information regarding wards and thin blood alchemy, and trying to acquire, through Sturbridge, a method of feeding.
Okay, understood. Then that's where we'll find our camera, on the outside of where the chantry is, before we see Duke reaching over to lightly rap on the window. A few moments later, a familiar blonde girl opens the door, sees you, and without words actually just steps aside and ushers you in. As you step into the quiet little like antique side shop that seems to never have any guests, she shuts the door, locks it, and the sign still is flopped to where it says closed. She makes her way around the desk and quickly kind of settles herself in the nearby chair, and she gestures to a rickety old chair nearby. She's like, yeah, you can take a seat. I'll let him know you're here.
I'll do as such.
She doesn't seem to do anything before she actually reaches over to the door that you were let in before, and she just knocks a couple of times after about 5 or so minutes pass of you sitting there. And then without much time after that knock, it creaks open, and a unfamiliar young man stands in its doorway. He's completely clean-shaven with a really short black hair and dark brown eyes. He's wearing just jeans and a t-shirt, and he's like, you are Duke then?
Yes, I am. Whom would I be speaking to now?
No, just come with me. And he pushes the door open.
Stands and follows.
As you step through the door and he shuts, he's like, hey, you can call me Isaiah, by the way.
Pleasure, Isaiah.
Yeah, same. So, I was told that a Duke Premin may be coming by for some warding stuff.
Yes.
Okay, good. Glad we got the right person and I didn't accidentally let in somebody else. And he takes like a sigh of relief and he goes to a nearby door and he opens it. And it leads to what looks like a small little study room, a desk nearby a window, another with like a laptop on it, and a few books that sit behind that on first glance just look like normal mortal books. There's any bizarre kindred volumes that kind of sit on the shelves. And in a very kind of orderly way, he gestures for you to sit down, like you're being sat down for an interview, as he sits behind his desk and closes his laptop and kind of slides it to the side. So what kind of wards do we need?
I believe that I will need multiple wards, and I'll supply the subject of which the wards will be put upon, something mobile. But particularly, I need something to shield, ward from roving eyes.
It sounds like you're asking for quite a lot. The size of the room that you need warded. Is it a personal ward for yourself that you carry on your clothing in particular?
I need something roughly the size of twice a coffin.
Twice a coffin wide. I'll probably only need one circle for that. And you need the ward to do multiple things.
Particularly, I need to remove it from wandering eyes and any protection that I can find against future Tremere or Thin Blood magic.
Well, that's a lot.
It
It'll be
is.
multiple wards. Each ward is quite an endeavor and a bit of commitment on our end. Are you sure you're going to be able to? I mean, the regent requested that I listen to what you need and make happen the best I can. I'm not quite sure she realized you were asking for this much, though. To give you an idea, each warding causes the kindred in question to become incredibly hungry. Multiple wards over the course of multiple nights require multiple feeding. We'd have to stretch it out of the course of months so we don't overfeed, and each one will require, of course, a form of payment beyond the first.
I don't see a problem here. I'm waiting for you to actually hang me up with something that's a challenge, Isaiah. If you answer specifically to the Regent, she seems to believe that you're more than capable, unless you're suggesting otherwise.
I am incapable of all of this, but I will ensure that we have somebody there to take care of it. She finds your business valuable at the very least. Well, what would you consider the most important for you?
To ward off wandering eyes. Things
He
that
scribbles that down.
might only be available to kindred.
And when are you hoping to have this done by?
Immediately.
He looks down and he kind of writes things down again. Well, I can't promise that we'll have anybody available in the next few nights, but within the week, I'm sure we could have somebody there.
I'll supply something that you will need to ward, either yourself or whomever is the talent on the subject. I'll bring it here, probably encased in a teak structure. It is a cage. I'm hiding some things.
I'm just gonna say this out loud. The Regent just might have questions of what you're hiding.
That doesn't mean I'm necessarily required to answer.
No.
I can place guarantees in this space to know that it is nothing that will bring harm to the chantry, to the Regent, or anyone under this roof. Simply, there are things that we as kindred know that we must keep a secret so that we can keep safe. Isaiah, you must understand this.
Yeah, of course. And, and he kind of gestures wildly to the room. He's like, it's part of the way I live my life, but
Understood.
nothing that it's going to get. If you place, you know what? I'll just tell her. And if she's fine with it, I'm fine with it. I'm not one to argue. And he kind of closes the notebook and tucks it away.
Before you leave, I would like to abscond from this place with some textual information regarding thin blood alchemy and what capacities are known at this moment.
Okay. I'd have to clearance.
I'll stay as long as I need to in an effort to read so as to not leave. I wish to not remove information if I can, but something that I can take away here is more valuable than not.
Well, I will make the request. I don't have clearance for that kind of thing. Sorry. And he stands up and looks to shuffle his way out.
Very well. I'll wait. And Duke just kind of crosses his hands.
And the camera just lingers on that for a while as Duke, almost like a statue, crosses his hands and sits patiently as time crawls by. An hour passes. 2 hours pass. 3 hours pass, and Duke remains still. Until eventually there's a gentle knock at the door just before it hits the 4-hour mark. The door opens, and there is that similar gentleman, Isaiah. He squeaks in. He actually seems a little surprised to see you still sitting in the exact position you were in. And he looks over to you as he steps in and pulls out of his pocket a small book. It's all I could get clearance for, and it's really just stuff you probably already know. But sorry to have you wait so long. And he slides it across the table.
Is there more information outside of this that you did not get clearance for?
He shakes his head. I am not privy to that knowledge, unfortunately.
Then yes, that's all I needed to know. When will I be able to see the Regent again?
I can let her know or tell the right people, and she can let you know. I'm sorry.
I say
just
ask
came
your
out of-
questions. You have something that is on your mind, just to save us both the time, as you wasted my last 4 hours.
Well, I don't know if you know how things work here, but I ask somebody and then they have to go take care. A lot of paperwork involved. My confusion lies in simply who you are, why you're here, and how you have so much sway. And this is just confusion.
Who am I? My name is Duke Premond.
Yes, I knew that. I just don't.
I'm Black Sheep of the Ventru. I operate outside or inside the Camarilla and around it, and I'm hoping to operate similarly within the Chantry, a middleman, if you will. I don't play the side that is a necessity for their own rise. I play what is valuable to me and me alone.
All right. Well, it's good to meet you, Duke Premond.
Again, pleasures, Isaiah.
He turns and uncomfortably leaves as we see Duke kind of crack open a small book of scattered different hand notes from multiple different authors over the course of time that indicate curiosity on thin blood alchemy, the idea that they are able to pull from it. But what does Duke know about thin blood alchemy, if anything at all, before I...
He knows that they're
maybe
capable of it. He knows that they can pretty much make shit up. As long as there's enough blood and the willingness to do it, they can mix it with just about anything to make some things happen, especially if they fall under the purview of an acting discipline.
And that's kind of like the info that you get for the most part out of the book. The only other, I'd say, piece of information that Duke would get off of this is that there seems to be, and it's a question mark, so it's not certain, but off to the side there's a question mark that simply says there needs to be the kind needs to be under a certain intense emotion, question mark, and then like a kind of an underline under that.
I think Duke has an understanding what that might mean. Mechanically, he has Bloodhound. He can sniff these things out. He's capable of hunting this information. So that's good to know.
The other bit you would pull is that there's another at the back towards the end of this notebook. That's another question of like, Thin Bloods don't do alchemy the same ?
Interesting.
That's it. That's all you pull from this book. Some questions from early research. It looks like from years and years and years ago.
Close the book, push in the chair, and find his way out.
And as the camera finds itself outside the shop and we see Duke step out and stand amongst the crowd, though we can still clearly see his tall figure, easily visible through the silhouette of mass of humans, we cut back to the front of the club. We can hear hurried footsteps splashing in some puddles as we make our way down the alleyway into the back end where the door to the back of Vera's club lie. Those scurried footsteps quickly make their way up and the guards don't move. The door quietly opens as the guards continue to talk to one another, though there's nobody visible there. The Russians are looking at one another and having a chuckle, and the camera merely catches the back door open about 6 inches and quietly clicks shut. Soon, though, footsteps are heard, and once peered around the corner as Max steps out of the blood room to head back to his room. A plain-looking girl in the hallway appears. She seems out of breath, even though you know that she doesn't necessarily need to, though she has her mortal visage on. And she looks to you, almost surprised to see you. And she says, I was really hoping you were going to be here tonight. And as Max looks confused, the gaze upon her, we cut to black. Oh, unless... Go ahead.
As we cut to black, we hear Max say,
Hey, you stinky. What's the rumpus?
And we'll see you all next week.
Hey, Sean. Now, I'm sure you've heard Vera say no phones, but if we're going to break 1 billion followers, then I'm going to need you to do me a little favor. If you could hop onto Twitter and follow us at Pod by Night, that would be mint, and a 5-star review on iTunes ain't going to hurt either. And maybe I'll share some of them spicy DMs with you. Cheers, mate.